Oh yes. Oh yes. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It is I, your host, PoGokeRo, with yet another informative, enlightening episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Wait. Hey, there it is. Good morning. Happy good morning to you. Welcome to yet another amazing episode. Let me turn this down a little bit. We got things going on. Things are happening. Things are going on. But yeah. Welcome. So you cannot I'm looking here. I'm looking here and I see a bunch. I'm seeing multicolored sheep. I see multicolored sheep. And what you're seeing are black blobs. And I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know how to fix it. But that's the way it is, right? So what we're standing under is my iron farm. The water, you can see the water dripping down from the iron farm right above me. We're in the factory. And I've finally set up a sheep farm, a rainbow sheep farm. This gets all 16 colors of the sheep. Yes, and you cannot see the sheep, but I promise you, there are 16 different colors of sheep here. And if you go under here, we can see the collection system, which goes and collects the sheep, the wool. And you cannot see the sheep, but I promise you, they're all naked right now. They're naked because the moment they eat a piece of grass, the shears in here will cut their wool, and their wool falls upon the ground. And when it falls upon the ground, that minecart hopper can pick it up. Now, another thing I want you to notice is that the grass underneath the sheep is dirt because the sheep just ate the grass. But you'll also notice the grass under the hoppers are also dirt because the sheep also eat. They can reach and eat the grass under the hoppers. So that's like multiple sources. You can see right there. You can see the wool. Oh, yeah. You can see the sheep can eat from multiple sources of grass to renew their wool, which increases the rate of the wool farm here. And all of this is put underneath into an item sorter. It goes through this thing here, and it goes over there where it gets pop into the item elevator. The item elevators are right here, and it goes up and over there to this item sorter. This is the Tech Rock item sorter. I think this is a fantastic item sorter. I highly recommend it. And in front, behold, the Rainbow Sheep Gallery. We have plethora of colors to choose from. Because we all know America's greatest strength is diversity. And here we have that diversity represented. The wool goes up there, it finds its home, and then falls in. And then anything that doesn't make it, we save for later for manual placement. No one gets left behind. All the colors are represented. Because that's what we're about. Alright, so there's that thing I want to show you. Then I want to come over here, and I have even more to show you. Besides the obvious placement of the enchantment station, I have also created another portal in my base. Yeah, scary, but here it is. Let's hop in. Ah, we're in the nether. But wait, this isn't the normal nether. No. This is a protective casing. Protective casing. Sure, there's a nether out there, but we're in this casing, this cobblestone casing. Cobblestone is got the highest blast resistance, which means if you blast it, it's not going to blow up. Okay. And it's a pain to stop pigmen from spawning, but I can work on that later. But this is the start of another hub. You see, this is to the factory. If I walk over here, this leads me to Chez Brian. Ah bon. C'est très chouette. Chouette. Très cool. Ah bon. Alright. And then this is to the Auto Farms. The Auto Farms. And here, finally, we have the station. I haven't named it yet. I haven't even finished it yet. I mean, it's finished. But it's ugly. It's like a brutalist. It's brutalist design, like the factory. Brutalist. But this design, station design, is from Ken, from K1 Gaming. This is his 2019 version of the train station. He made his station 29. I'm only making mine a mere 15. But yeah, all the tracks work. You can select. All the lights work. It's great. You can change it out whenever you want. Look at that noise. That's amazing. That's amazing. But let's take a closer look, right? This is the arrival station. That's the departure station. I used the old Skippy 6 design because I like pressing no buttons. Alright, and then we hop in. Now you'll see that it's color-coded. I used wool because I don't have time to go get multicolored concrete. That's a lot of dye. But with wool, you just cut the sheet with the right color and you have unlimited, with enough time, you have an unlimited. But yeah, this uses pretty much the same hopper lock system. The hopper... Oh. What happened? Did someone just take off? I think so. Alright, well, whatever. I saw a cart go by. I don't know what happened. But yeah, the station, by choosing a station, it'll select if to go up. What are you doing in here? This is a... You are not allowed. No Enderman inside my place. What are you doing? I gotta put carpet in here to stop the spawns. Enderman, dude. What's up with these Endermen? They're everywhere. They're endemic. All right. So here, explaining the station. This amazing station. This is amazing. Ken, in his video on YouTube, color coded all of the components. And I thought that was fantastic. That helps you to see where everything goes. So yeah, it's pretty great. Pretty great. I only have one station. So let's hop in there. Let's check this out. Jerk. Oh. Alright, he's gonna come over here. So he just demonstrated the return system. But if we're gonna actually go somewhere, here, let's go do that. You select the station. You hop in the cart. We automatically go up or down depending. And there we go. And there is the giant compound. It's like a... What? Oh, empty. It's like a protective case, and we're inside of like an organism. That's how I kind of look at it. Like this is like we're like a bigger body, and that's we're like invading it. We're invading it, and that's like a protective shell. Because yeah, look at this place. It wants to kill you. Everything here wants to kill you. Everything wants to kill you. Pigmen will kill you if you push them, like, or they'll try to kill you. So yeah. But my only station so far goes to this Blaze station. And I will work on this later on. But yeah, the point of this one is to get blazes for blaze rods. But anyways, this is just the first place. I will work on this later on. And there's more places to go. Because the Nether is all about the distortion of space and time. I love it. Oh wait, here, I did it wrong, but that's alright. Okay, so I'll come back here. I have more things to show you. We're just getting started with the show. I just want to get all this out of the way to show you what I've been working on. Man, I've been working hard. I mean, I made a train station and another hub. That's amazing. By myself. But yeah, that's the beginning of the ugly Nether hub. Alright, so here, let's take the next station over. Lol, water in the nether. Yeah, we're going to auto farms. Okay, auto farm. I moved the nether gate to be more central. It was too far away. And the first thing I want to talk about is this here. I used Wattle's design for a honey bottle farm, and this works amazingly well. So both of these are Wattle's machines. I had to add these extra glass to keep the sugar, well, it's supposed to not pop up there. I gotta put more glass there. But yeah, the idea is to make it so you can only go into the minecart. That will save on wastage. And this design ensures that I get lots of honey bottles. The problem is that, oh, well, I don't know. There's no problem. It works great. And these guys aren't picking up any crops because I've got too many as it is, and my storage system is full. So my next project, see, check this out. You go down here to the storage system. I'm full up. I need to get rid of some of these or find a new place to store them. So that's my next project, is to make a giant silo to hold all of the farm goods. And then here, this. To be honest, I really hated my wheat farm and melon farm. It was ugly. It was just ugly. It was big. It was obtrusive. It was just in the way. It was ugly. So I tore down the wheat farm and I made another version, smaller and on the ground level. So this feels a lot better. It doesn't feel imposing like before. And then the storage system is the same here. You know, they're slowly building it up. And here's the collection system. So the farmers try to go to collect the wheat, but they can't because I filled their inventory with seed. So all they have in their inventory is seed. They can't pick up a wheat. If they did pick up wheat, then what would happen is they would take that wheat and convert it to bread. But I don't want bread because you can't feed bread to animals. And that's the reason why I want the wheat, is to feed to animals. So instead of picking up the wheat, they drop it, and then this hopper minecart underneath pulls through one block, picks up the wheat, and then deposits it in my storage system. There, easy peasy. All right. The next thing I built was this automatic cactus farm. I mean, it's kind of slow, but you can scale it as big as you want. Essentially, you wait, and then you just hang out. Eventually, the cactus will grow, but because cacti can't have anything next to it like this, as soon as it grows, it pops off and it falls into the water stream. The water stream brings it to the hopper, and it falls into my collection system. So that's good. That way I can get green dye if I need it. So the first iteration of my farm, the last farm was done by OMG Craft, which is great. And he just got his millionth subscriber. So congrats to OMG Craft. He's a great streamer. He's also had great designs. I used his farm, his sheep farm. This sheep farm is from Skippy6, which you notice it's a lot smaller than OMG Craft farm. But the problem here is that the sheep have only one source of grass to eat. So they grow back their sheep really, really slowly. I watched this sheep right here. He waited like 3 Minecraft weeks, in-game weeks, before he ate grass and grew back his wool so I could dye it a different color. Because you can't dye naked sheep, you have to have wool. So yeah, and this system works about the same way. It collects, it's a minecart, go underneath, collects things, deposits it in those hoppers, and it goes in here. But you can tell it's a lot slower. Oh wow, this is almost full. But 16 sheep though, it took forever. Alright, all I need now is a melon farm. And I'll probably stick the melon farm back here. And then I'll have to tie all these farms. I'm gonna make an underground collection system. It's gonna be underground. I'm gonna have a bunch of water pipes to ship everything over, probably over here. Probably over like way over here. This town is dead. No one lives here anymore. Raiders came by and killed everyone. Because we were busy working. So yeah. So there's no one here. This is a dead village. But my purpose is to repopulate it. So the way I'll do that is I will create, yeah, it's all zombies. I'll create a villager trading hall here. And which means I'll probably have to make another villager spawner way up in the sky. And I can do that. That's not a problem. That's easy. No, my problem is well, actually, I'll probably have to make the village spawner even farther. Because, yeah, the villager spawner here, that thing causes so many problems. Trying to make these farms here with bedrock rules is so hard. It's so difficult. Because villagers will grab onto workstations and beds they can't see or can't reach. Like that guy, you see him sparkle green? He's sparkling green because he uses his psychic abilities to find a bed. All right, he connected to a bed. Do you see a bed anywhere? No. Here, let me show you where the bed is. It's my bed. It's in my house, behind a closed door, behind a wall that he cannot see. He can't see this bed, but he connected to it. He can't reach it and see it. He's angry because he can't reach it. How does he even know it's here? He can't reach it. Why does he even care? That's bedrock for you. That's bedrock rules. I don't know. And that makes managing villagers really, really, really difficult. The fact that all the villagers are psychic makes it really hard to manage villagers, because he's going to just be upset. He connects to the bed, and then he's like, wait a minute, I'm using my psychic powers to find a bed. Oh, no, I can't reach it. Grrr. Oh, I'm using my psychic abilities to find a bed. Oh, I can't reach it. Grrr. It's a problem. So, yeah, that's something you might want to work on. Programmers, that the psychic abilities of villagers. I don't think that's fair. Okay, we talked about pretty much everything. I showed you off all my new stuff. Man, it took me how long? 15 minutes to tell you about things that I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours making. Oh man. The pain. And the next update, this will be much better. All this nether warping will be much faster. They fixed okay, so I'm gonna stand here observing my farm while I go over stuff, because there's things we need to talk about. I mean, I know no one's watching, but that doesn't matter because no one's watching the present, but time is long. And I don't know if someone will watch in the future. So what I want to talk about is I want to explain to people kind of what's going on in our world. Hold on, I need to log out and log back in, because look at this spam. I hate that spam. Press T or return to open chat. Press T or return to open chat. Press T or return to open. Yeah. Yeah. Silly is what I say. Okay. Things I want to talk about. So right now, the United States is engaged in an information war with other fascist states, such as Russia. And really, it's a fascist state. It's a transnational crime syndicate. Transnational crime syndicate. Putin is not so much ideological as he is just amoral. He has different values than Americans. Putin's values are all about power, And power, it's about power. Putin wants to concentrate power. And to concentrate power, you necessarily concentrate wealth. So this concentration of wealth and power is poison to the idea of democracy. Democracy diffuses the power into the people. Now, if you diffuse power into the people, what will follow is that the wealth will also be diffused into the people. The wealth of the nation that the nation generates, if the power is diffused in the people, the wealth will be diffused into the people so that it's spread out more evenly. Right? That is exactly opposite of Putin's idea of fascism, of wealth, of power. When you worship power and not truth, when you worship power, then you're concentrating the wealth. When you concentrate wealth, that means you scrape up all the wealth from the people and you take it away from them and you put it into the hands of a very few. In the case of Putin, it's the Russian oligarchs. So Putin uses the state apparatus to scrape up the wealth from Russia and concentrate it into the hands of the oligarchs, who then give Putin a portion of their wealth. So that Putin himself not only has the power, but he also has the wealth. So you can't have democracy in a situation like that, because you're saying de facto the people's voices don't matter. It's only about power. So this is an idea. This is a value. And this is being broadcast by Russia. And any human can broadcast this idea. Right? This idea lives in the astral plane. It's a memeplex. It's a whole bunch of ideas strung together, makes a constellation of points, and a human can come along and be like, yo, I like that idea. I'm going to manifest it through my words and actions into the physical material world. That's what they do. That's what they do. So that's one way of looking at it. But it's not the only way of looking at it, right? You can describe it in many different ways. One way I like to look at it, or one way I found really, really interesting, was the movie The Matrix. This movie came out in 1999. So it kind of dates me. I'm kind of old, right? But this movie, even today, this movie says amazing things, and I don't think people understand it, and I know people didn't understand it when it came out. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Here, let's go back in the sheep farm. Oh, you can't see the sheep though. That's all you see are black sheep, but I see color sheep. How funny is that? Okay, so I think the problem is that people took the movie The Matrix literally, and they said, "Oh, that's silly. You can't have a system where machines plug into your brain and live off your body energy. That doesn't work. The body doesn't create enough heat to make it a worthwhile battery. It takes in more energy than it consumes more energy than it puts out," is what they say. And what I say is that no. What happens is the human transforms the energy and uses it to create work, so that what they do is they recreate the social world through symbols and culture. Like symbols, music, expression. Human expression recreates the world, and and they use a bunch of symbols to do it, and they organize things in such a way to reflect their ideas. So the most fundamental way you can look at the way people express ideas is the way space itself is organized. Space itself. I mean, do you ever think about literally the space around you? The space around you itself is encoded. Here, I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. But yeah, the space itself is encoded. It's divided into public and private property, into my personal space, your personal space, into government space, into another country's space, into a natural wild space. The way we divide space is reflection of values, and it's an encoding. It's an encoding, taking social reality or social values and encoding it into reality. You're taking ideas from the realm of the astral plane, from the void, whatever, and then you're imposing them onto the world. You're making them manifest by putting them into the space around you. So wait, before I go too far out, let me do this. Coming back to the movie The Matrix, let's check this out.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was...
Look again. Freeze it.
This isn't the Matrix.
This is not the Matrix.
It's
This is an
another
example.
training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
If you're not one of us, you're one of them. If you're not one of us, you're one of them. So what's he talking about? What? Okay, so what Morpheus is talking about. Now, the way I'm gonna explain this is that he says the Matrix is a system, Neo. The Matrix is a system of control. Control. Now, what is culture? Culture is a matrix. Culture is generated by humans interacting with one another and living their lives, reproducing themselves. That's culture. That whole bunch of activities and movements and creation and destruction, all of that is culture. And people don't ever look at it. They never look at their own culture, at the stuff. Because they're in it, right? How do you even talk about it if you're in it? It's like asking a fish about water. The fish is looking at other fish. It's looking at food. It's looking for danger. It's looking for a place to live. But does the fish ever think about, oh yeah, what's that stuff you're swimming in? Like, no, not until you take it out. Once you take the fish out, then it's like, oh my God, I have water, you know. So culture is everything. And who controls that culture is embedded in the culture. So we know this is true because we can see the history of oppression. We can see white supremacy. We see the history of white supremacy. White supremacists have so much control over the culture that they're able to enslave, literally, other humans. And the remnants of that enslavement are still everywhere. But the thing is, culture is not something, not one thing. You can't just grab an item and be like, I found culture. No, no. Culture is something that emerges from. It emerges from, comes out of the activities of all these things, of all these people. So it's on a different level. I don't know how to describe that. Another level of analysis. So when you think of dimensions, people think of the spatial dimensions, like la la la, right? But like width, depth, height. But there are like unlimited dimensions that you can move in. Not physically, but your brain can move in. Your consciousness can move in it, in this direction. So when you're looking at humans, it all comes down to the physical material. Because it's from the physical material interactions between humans that culture blossoms, from which it emerges. Without this, if humans didn't do their activities, there would be no culture. There would be nothing. Humans have to be doing their thing to make culture. And culture is not one thing that they do, but the aggregate. But it's more than the aggregate of everything they do. They do these things, but it becomes more than. So that culture, that matrix. So culture is like has an element of control, because culture will tell you what is acceptable behavior and what is unacceptable behavior. And we can see this manifested by looking at American history. For a long time, American history, it was unacceptable for women to own property or to vote. Women were prohibited from owning property or voting because that was the domain of men. And if women tried to act in a manner that didn't conform to this, then other humans would morph into an agent of control. They turned into an agent of control. And they would reassert patriarchy. They would force the woman, to change her behavior to be in line with socially acceptable norms. So when you watch that and you see, so what Morpheus is talking about is that this happens to all the humans who are not able to control their bodies and their actions. You have to be able to be a master of your portal, of your body, because your body, your portal, is a conduit between the astral plane with all these ideas, like these points of light and floating in the void, and the material world, which is like the solid stuff. The human body is a conduit. The human can take something, an idea, from the astral plane, process it through its brain, and then manifest it physically into the world to make cup or mug, whatever. Coffee. Of varying quality. Maybe good coffee, maybe bad coffee, whatever. But that's what they do. If humans don't do it, it doesn't happen. You cannot. So there are a lot of humans who don't have the ability to watch their bodies, to watch their process. So these bits of so they'll easily turn into matrix agents of control without even thinking about it. My example, my real life example, is back in college. I wore, as a social experiment to break social norms, me being a white, mixed heterosexual male, I wore a pink frilly crop top that exposed my belly to the whole world. And I was threatened with violence. I was ostracized by my friends. All these people around me transformed into agents of social control and stigmatized me and put bad words on me until I conformed, until I covered myself up and conformed to their idea, until the social idea of what's acceptable attire for a heterosexual male. I I watched it happen. I watched people transform in front of me into agents of social control and and attack me until I conformed. I watched it happen. And that's because the people who did it did not fully control their bodies. They gave it up. They gave up control of their bodies to the social programming that was installed on them very young, right? And they didn't even have a choice about it. They were probably raised that way. They were raised the way to think that this is the only way it could be. And so they're running their programming, their social programming. They transform into an agent, and then they attack you. So here, let me give you another example of this. All right, so remember, the way you perceive this encoding is unique to every individual. So you can look at it like a resource pack. Like right now, I'm using the default resource pack for Minecraft. But I'm able to change this default resource pack. Check this out. So here, settings. Oh wait, actually, I can't do it from here. I gotta quit the game. But I can change my default resource pack. Global resources, my packs. Let me get zigzag. No, here, Chroma Hills. Let's do that one. Activate. Okay. So what I got here, I'm still playing Minecraft. The rules are all the same. It's the same game, the same mechanics, the same underlying code, but look at the way things look. They look totally different. They look like medieval. Look at this stuff. It looks way different. Oh, hey, that guy looks like an orc. Right? He looks like an orc now. Can you see sheep? No, sheep are still black. Sheep won't render still, but that's okay. Look at my glowstone doesn't look like glowstone. Everything looks different, but the mechanics are the same. Mechanics haven't changed. It's just the superficiality of it that's changed. Okay, now wait, let me show you again. So the way you perceive the matrix depends upon you can perceive the matrix differently, but it'll still be the matrix. Now, you can perceive society differently, but the underlying mechanics are still the same. So let me give you an example of that. All right, this is from the Animatrix, which is a great film. This is Detective Story. So here's an example. Okay, so this detective, this is before Trinity found Neo. Let me turn this down. This is before Trinity found Neo. This is from the detective's perspective. The detective sees the Matrix like a film noir. Everything still works the same as the way it would normally work, but the way he perceives it is film noir. So this is before Trinity found Neo. And Trinity is going around trying to rescue other people. Okay, so Trinity is going to try to rescue this guy, this detective. He's seeing the superficiality of the Matrix. He's trying to get out. And the agents are using him to find members of the resistance. So now he's like, oh no, it's real. That wasn't just a dream. So now they're going to try to escape, right? So the agents just took over random people in the train cart because these guys are not acting in accordance to social norms. So, yeah, they're firing bullets here, but the way we perceive it is, oh yeah, they're asking questions or things like that. I don't know, bad questions. Now look so he is still plugged into the Matrix. Neo or Trinity is trying to save him. Trinity is trying to save him, trying to get him out of the Matrix. But something happens. Something happens. What is going to happen here? something happens. All right, they're okay. Here, look at, watch. See, look at, he is transforming. The agents are trying to use him to transform. He's not strong enough to stop the agents from taking over his body. So Trinity has to kill him. If you're not strong enough, if you're not able to withstand the Matrix, the agents taking over your body, then you can't come with the resistance. You can't be in the resistance. But that's what I mean. Agents of social control. You need to be able to clean out the bad code in you so that it doesn't just take over your body and then you do things that help something else. Help the bad ideas. Like, so for example, for Americans, we're all about justice and liberty. Justice and liberty. It's justice and liberty. We want justice and liberty for all. Justice and liberty for every human being. That's what we want. That's what Americans want. So, but the old way of thinking in the United States is patriarchal. It's patriarchal and heterosexual. So that if you're gay or lesbian or transsexual or transgender or queer or whatever, or bisexual or whatever, if you're anything other than the accepted norm of what is hey, what's up, Ben? Hi, Ben, thanks for watching. If you're like, for Americans, it doesn't matter like what you look like, who you love, what your religion is. Americans don't care. Americans care about your heart. We want your heart to be good. And we want you to help liberate other human beings and not oppress other human beings. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. But there's old programming, old conditioning when people are raised in the old way to oppress, and they transform into these agents of social control and attack other human beings, who are just trying to be free. So if you want to be an American, if you want to be a good, or like any kind of free human being, you need to clean this code out of you. Now let me give you another example of this social. Here, let me get out of this. These guys are talking a lot. Let me give you another example. Okay, another example. So here's what I mean by it's a code. That society is a code. Oh, why can't you hear it?
The Matrix? Yeah.
Start over.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Is that...
The Matrix? Yeah.
Do you always look at it encoded?
Well, you have to. The image translators work for the construct program. But there's way too much information to decode the Matrix. You get used to it. I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
Okay, wait.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Wait. That's important what he said. I don't even see the code.
Is that...
All I see is
Matrix?
blonde, brunette, redhead.
Yeah. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
Oh, dude, you messed up. You messed it up. Hold on, where'd it go? I need to see that part.
Sorry.
You get used to it.
Okay. Dude, okay, I guess I have to stay like this. All right, the code, that code. He doesn't even see the code. Cypher is an example of a person who's unable to free his mind. Because, like I said, society is a bunch of these rules. Oftentimes you can't even, they're not nothing physical to the rule. You can't even see the rule, but it's there, encoded into space itself, and into everything. So that's the spot I want. So, so Cypher, there's a bunch of code, like the idea of femininity, women, the patriarchal idea of woman. Let's do that, right? The patriarchal idea of woman is that women are supposed to be a certain way. And if you can't be that way, then men will let you know that you're not the acceptable form of woman. So women have to conform themselves and do a bunch of things in order to meet the idea of what a woman is supposed to be, according to men. Like blonde, brunette, redhead. So they women do all these things to themselves to put all these symbols on them. Like the red dress, the blonde hair, the makeup, the painted face, the certain body shape. They do all these things to conform themselves to fit the symbols. Now, Neo, he just sees the symbols. He's like, oh yeah, that's a symbol of conformity. That's a symbol of conformity. That's a symbol of conformity. But for Cypher, he doesn't see the code. He can't see the code. All he sees is blonde, brunette, redhead. So you can see how Cypher himself is not a free individual. His head is stuck, because that's what he's doing is he's reifying the ideas. He's taking the ideas of blonde, brunette, redhead and saying, oh, it has to be that way. Those are real. Those are solid objects. He's thinking you can't be anything other than this type of woman. If you're anything other than this type of woman, then I'll say you're not a woman. You're ugly. You're insufficient. You're whatever. Because this is the ideal, and so he reifies. It's just a symbol, right? It's just a symbol, but he reifies it into something solid that can't be changed and is immutable. But the truth is different, and that's where the fascist and the American, the free individual, differ. The American is aware that this is just a bunch of symbols. It's not real, and we can change it. We can change it. We can perceive it and interpret it differently. It can be different. Whereas the fascist only cares about power. So truth is irrelevant to the fascist. They don't care if the idea of woman is not a real thing. They don't care. They care about power. And if they can use that power to control women, they will. But Neo is more concerned with the truth of the matter. The truth is that there is no solid form, hard thing of a woman. Woman can be anything that women can do. Any way women can express womanhood, womanness, it is a woman. So here, let me give you an example of that from the movie again. Everyone knows this scene. Oh crap, hold on. Crap. Everyone knows this. Remember, they're inside the Matrix.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
The truth.
What
The truth.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
Watch his head. Watch his head. Watch his head. See his head?
The Oracle will see you now.
Did you see that? Remember, they are inside the Matrix at that moment. So they're at that level. They're not talking about the material level. They're talking about the social level. They're in the matrix, the social level of the matrix. So the spoon is not there. There is no spoon. He's holding, it's a bunch of code, right? You saw what the code looked like from the human level.
Sorry.
Translators work for the construct program.
From the human level, that's what it is. It's a bunch of code. That's all it is. It's just a code. It's just a code. But on the matrix level, at the social level, it looks like a real thing. It looks like it's a real thing. So, and real things, if you assume it's a real thing, then it's solid, it's immutable, you can't change it. It is what it is. It's independent. But no, if you realize the truth, that it's not an actual thing, it's just a bunch of code, and you can interpret it and express it in any way you want, you can see, you can bend it, you can change it. And you don't change it, you change yourself. Because it is not even there. What you're changing, so it's not there. You're holding nothing. So when you're changing it, it's yourself that you're changing. Because yourself is what expresses the code. So in this instance, you can replace spoon with gender. You can say, like, let's see, do not try to bend the gender. That's impossible. It's impossible to bend the gender because the gender is a bunch of code. Instead, simply try to realize the truth. Neo says, what truth? Or the truth? And the kid says, there is no gender. There is no gender. There is no gender. There's no thing that you can grab that says and hold that says gender. There's nothing. There is no gender. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Gender is something that emerges out of the behaviors of everyone acting together to emerge something out of it. So then when you realize that there is no gender, you realize it's not the gender that's bending because there's no gender. It is only yourself. You just interpret gender differently, and you change it from the way that society expects, or is considered acceptable or normal. And then that's when people around you change into, they notice you doing something deviant, and they change, and then try to reimpose society onto you. So what we're looking at again are two different codes. We have one code that says power is the only thing that matters. And we have the other code that says truth is the thing that matters. Right? Two different ones. Putin is over here. Donald Trump is over here on the power side. Right? You have people like Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Rumi, Siddhartha from Buddhism, spiritual leaders who are concerned with the truth. And then you have fascists who are only concerned with power. They don't care about the truth, they only want power. And these are two different ideas. That's why these things are at war. That's what we're at. And the war is in information. It's these symbols that we're using to fight wars. Now, the fascists want to use these symbols and reify them, make them so that you can't change them. They're real, they're hard, they're solid. But the free humans know that it's just a bunch of code, and you can interpret them any way you want. And you can express them any way you want. Some ways are better than others, but that's what you can do. So, with that said, let me get music going. Okay, with that said, let's look at the Mother report. Take this guy out. Redo this one. In-frame view. All right. So what do we got here? We got the Mother report. Dude, that sucks. All right. The Mother report. The Mother report says, the Russian government interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systemic fashion. Evidence of Russian government operations began to surface in mid-2016. In June, the Democratic National Committee and its cyber response team publicly announced that Russian hackers had compromised its computer network. Releases of hacked materials, hacks that public reporting soon attributed to the Russian government, began the same month. Additional releases followed in July through the organization WikiLeaks, with further releases in October and November. So that's what the Americans are saying. They're saying that the Russians are attacking us through information warfare. But Putin says, what does Putin say? Open with. Putin says, Russian President Vladimir Putin has dismissed Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report and investigation, agreeing with Donald Trump's assessment that the entire probe was a witch hunt. We said from the start that Mr. Mueller's notorious investigation would find no evidence, Putin said Tuesday, the Moscow Times reported. Therefore, it was clear to us in advance that it would end up as the mountain that gave birth to a mouse, as they say in Russia. The Russian leader then reiterated his position that his country did not interfere in the 2016 election, calling the entire Mueller investigation complete nonsense. He also used a talking point frequently voiced by Trump, blaming the probe on Democrats' unwillingness to accept that they had been defeated. So Mueller is saying the evidence says this, and Putin says, "Oh, we don't believe you." we say differently. We don't have any. We just say differently, but we're using power to say it. So this is two different ideas conflicting with each other. Remember what the Russian president, or remember what Yuri said. Oh, what's his name? Dude, don't do that. Show images. Yuri, there he is. Yuri, open.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand.
There's nothing to do with espionage. Only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process, which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely.
Okay. So Yuri is telling us about how information warfare makes it so that a people can't make sense of the world. They can't find truth anymore. They give up on looking for truth. And because they're not able to find truth anymore, they're easily confused, easily misled. So it's like if you're like in a fog, but you have the bright light of your base in the distance. The bright light of the base in your distance will keep you oriented. You can walk around and run around in the fog, in the darkness, and you may not be able to see, but as long as you're able to see the light from your base, then you can orient yourself and find your way back. However, when you lose that light, when you lose the light of to orient yourself, and you're in the fog, then anything is true and nothing is true. When you don't have that anything to orient you, then you are lost. Anyone can tell you anything and you'll believe it. Because you don't have truth anymore. You have no idea what truth is. You've given up. So how does that manifest in our society? What does that look like in our society? That works out like this. Oh, here, let me go back. Right here.
I'm just trying to get by on the sidewalk, that's all.
You shouldn't be here, you fake news. You stopped airing the Trump briefings and you keep airing Cuomo briefings. Go home, you fake news.
These are all Nazis. These are Nazis.
You are the enemy of the people!
Nazis. These are just Nazis.
You are fake news. We know about your liberal agenda. We know you want to keep your job. We get it. You're not getting advertiser dollars in right now.
You're not going to answer, so you're just going to go live.
Yes, I am getting a paycheck.
I'm very happy, but other people are not getting paychecks, and they're not getting.
It used to be a good channel at one time. I don't know what happened to you.
No, you're a hack.
You're supposed to be unbiased. You're not unbiased. You let so much crap fly on your Facebook page. It's disgusting. You're disgusting. You're the virus.
Nazis.
Ego neutral. There we go. Fuck you.
That's Nazi.
Yeah. Put me on TV too. My name is Rich. I live in Lake Road.
Kevin, tell the truth, Kevin. Come on.
Fake news is not essential. 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 Fake news is not essential.
So what we talked about earlier, Kevin. Come on.
So that's an example of a people demoralized. They have no idea what is truth. What are they shouting? Fake news. They keep shouting fake news, just like their president. Well, who else shouted fake news? The Nazis! The Nazis did that! The Nazis said that. The term Lügenpresse has its origins in Germany during the First World War. Initially intended to counter Allied propaganda campaigns, a good deal of which we know to have been actually accurate, the Nazis used it to attack hostile media. And considering the central role of anti-Semitism in Hitler's worldview, it was a particularly effective weapon. The idea of a Jewish-dominated press stretched back decades. By the 1920s, it was all but an unspoken assumption within German anti-Semitic circles. So now, if the press was critical of the Nazis, the explanation was clear: the Jews. And since, according to Hitler, Jews were fundamental enemies of Germany, the press too was the enemy of the people. Didn't you hear that too? And as with so much of Nazi propaganda, the description of an opposition press based on lies was a classic case of projection. Hitler based his whole approach to politics on lies, something he made no secret of, having described his strategy of the big lie in his memoir, Mein Kampf. Hitler lied to officials about his party's use of violence. He lied about his own past. He lied to foreign leaders about his intentions. And, of course, his whole understanding of the world was based on the lie of a global Jewish conspiracy. Truth would never get in the way of Hitler's goals. So what we're seeing there were a bunch of Nazis. Those people were shouting Nazi phrases. They're shouting Nazi phrases. Their leader, Donald Trump, lies incessantly about everything. Constantly lying. A fire hose of lies. Because for these people and for Trump, the number one thing is not truth, but power. They care about power. Remember the two different with Putin. So these guys, you can group them with Putin. Let me show you this picture too. So if we're going to create a mental map, here's our mental map. All right. Up here, we have Robert Mueller, along with Holland, Australia, and the UK, with the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and the intelligence community. Right? All these Americans, a bunch of Americans and a bunch of democracies, all say Russia attacked the United States. But Putin and Trump supporters, that with Putin, so Putin and Trump supporters all say that the Americans are lying, that there is no truth, both sides are the same, there's no truth, you can't tell who's telling the truth, it's all about power, it's who's strongest, it's the strength that they care about, not about the truth. That's the world we live in right now today. So here, this meme will give an example. Open with new. So yeah, oh no. We're looking at Donald Trump like, ooh, he's the guy. But it's not about Donald Trump. It's Putin's the one who's operating everything. Putin controls Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump, he lies about everything. Just like Putin. And we know this. Here, not only has Mueller told us, not only have all our allies told us, but Donald Trump's family told us. So Donald Trump lied and said, I have nothing to do with Russia. No deals, no loans, no nothing. That's a big lie. Because Eric Trump said, oh, wow, Russians made up a pretty disproportionate cross-section of a lot of our assets. We see a lot of money pouring in from Russia. That's Eric Trump. Donald Trump says, well, we don't really rely on American banks. We have all the funding we need out of Russia. They tell us. Believe them when they tell you that they're Russian assets. So that whole family is it's a crime family. That whole family is a crime family. So we have this big election coming up. And this is the truth of the matter. You can either vote for the Democrats, that's Joe Biden right now, or you can vote for the Nazis, as represented by the Republicans and Donald Trump. That is your choice this year. You saw the Nazis. You just saw a video of the Nazis. I showed you a clip last week of Nazis running over protesters. You saw the Nazi reporter misrepresent the story, but we all see the video of it. So the truth is the enemy of the Nazis, of the fascists. And the truth is the ally of the Americans and all freedom-loving individuals and all democracies. We are literally involved in a battle of civilization for either freedom and justice, or power and subjugation. That is this is the battle. And all the Nazis, skinheads, Confederates, Ku Klux Klan, they're all on Team Donald. All of them. Right. Along with all the Nazis. So that's pretty clear. That's the Nazi party. Putin is on Team Donald. So it's got to be very, very, very clear that we're dealing with American Nazis here. All right, I showed you my base. I decoded the matrix for you because remember, to go back, the matrix is all around you. It's invisible because it emerges from. It's bigger than you. It's like a flea trying to know that it's on an elephant. A flea is not going to be able to see an elephant. A flea is like way down inside of it. It sees like the hairs as giant trees. It would never be able to see the whole elephant. So humans are like that. They're like fleas to culture. But not really. They're just really, really small in comparison to everything else. All right, guys. I think, let's see. How long was that? How long I've been going for? About an hour? Yeah, about an hour. I hope this clarifies things. I've been saying the whole thing over and over and over again. I'm trying to get people to understand it. Like, I'm not charging money for this. I can never monetize this. I'm just giving this away because I'm trying to protect life and civilization and democracy. Like, this show is a civic duty. It's not trying to make money or bring fame or glory to myself. I'm trying to save our country and democracy across the world and life itself, because fascism is antithetical to life. Fascism doesn't want to protect life. All right, guys. This is really hard for me, right? Because no one's watching, so like I'm doing this opposed to all these attacks against me, saying that it's worthless and it's not. No one's watching it. Everyone's trying to tell me to give up and quit. All of the fascist mechanism is mobilized against me to make me quit and other Americans. But you cannot despair, because I'm telling you, America, diversity is our strength, but our strength has been suppressed for our entire life of being Americans. The reason why the fascists decided to use this moment to strike is because this is their last chance. America has become a majority-minority state. That means power is going to pass over to the hands of the people, and the people are a bunch of minorities, a bunch of minorities together. That's who the people are. And white people are going to become a minority, so they're going to join the group of minorities that where power is passing to. And the minority is the super rich elite who want to concentrate power and wealth, who scrape all the power and wealth out of the people and keep it for themselves. But the people want to take that money and power and spread it amongst the people. That's going to be glorious. It'll be amazing. All we have to do is hold on and take back control and power. And the way we're going to do that is through truth and love. Because, believe it or not, truth is an aspect of love, an aspect of God. So hold on to truth. Hold on to love. Spread it. Make it real. Make love real. Like Chuck Tingle says, prove love real. All right, guys and gals and everyone else, everybody. I'm going to hang in there. You hang in there too. Okay.